In a city shadowed by unseen threats, a young woman walks with a warrior at her side, a German shepherd forged in war's fire, his loyalty a blade against the dark. One night, danger strikes, and Titan's growl shatters the silence, a soldier's heart beating for her. This is their tale of courage, sacrifice, and a bond that defies the odds. Stay for the fight. The wind whipped through the dimly lit streets of Valparaiso, Chile, a restless howl tearing at the night as Sofia Morales strode home from university, her headphones blasting a rhythm that drowned the world. At 22, her dark hair swung in a loose ponytail, her steps quick against the uneven pavement, oblivious to the shadows lurking beyond the flicker of streetlights. Beside her, Titan matched her pace, a majestic German shepherd, his black and tan coat rippling with muscle, amber eyes slicing the dark like twin blades. A war veteran trained for combat, adopted after his soldier handler fell, he was her silent shield until the night exploded, and their quiet shattered with a screech of tires. A black van roared from an alley, its brakes screaming as it skidded to a halt, blocking their path. Two men leaping out, their faces twisted with menace. "Where you going, pretty?" one sneered, his grimy hand snatching Sophia's arm, yanking her hard. Her headphones clattered to the ground, her scream ripping free. "Let go!" But Titan transformed, a guttural growl erupting from his chest, a sound forged in battlefields that froze the air. His amber eyes blazed, his bulk lunging, teeth sinking into the man's arm with surgical precision, bone crunching as the thug howled, blood spraying the pavement. "Get him off!" the man shrieked, flailing as Titan shook his grip, a predator unleashed. Muscles coiling, fur bristling, every move a dance of war. The second man cursed, his hand flashing to his belt, a knife gleaming in the streetlight's flicker. "Stupid mutt," he spat, slashing fast, but Titan dodged, a blur of instinct, his paws slamming the man's chest, toppling him hard, the blade skittering across the asphalt. Sophia's heart hammered, her scream echoing as she stumbled back, her shield alive, her savior bared in teeth and fury. The van's door slammed. Boots hit the ground, a third man emerging, his silhouette broad, his hand raising a gun, its barrel glinting cold. "Enough," he barked, aiming at Titan, finger tightening on the trigger. Sophia's breath seized, her world narrowing. Those amber eyes, her rock, her war-torn hero. "No!" she screamed, throwing herself over Titan as the shot rang out, a deafening crack splitting the night. Pain seared her shoulder, blood blooming hot, but her cry froze the men, distant sirens blaring, piercing the dark. "Move!" the driver snarled, panic cracking his voice as headlights flared, police closing fast. The thugs scrambled, the van peeling away in a screech of rubber, leaving Sophia crumpled, her arms locked around Titan, sobs tearing free. "You saved me," she gasped, her voice breaking as blood streaked her jacket, her dark hair matted against her face. Titan's growl softened, his amber eyes glinting fierce as he pressed close, a shield unbroken, his bulk a wall against the night's terror. Boots pounded the pavement, police swarming, radios crackling as flashlights cut the gloom. "Over here!" an officer shouted, kneeling warily beside Sophia, his gaze darting to Titan, still poised, hackles up. "Ma'am, you okay? What happened?" Her breath hitched, tears streaming as she clung to Titan, his fur warm against her trembling hands. They attacked me. Titan, he stopped them." She choked, her voice raw. The officer's eyes narrowed, his hand hovering near his holster. "He's no ordinary dog. Stay calm. Let's get you up." Medics rushed in, hands steadying Sophia, a blanket draped over her shoulders as she winced, blood seeping from her grazed shoulder. "He took the shot for me," she whispered, her dark eyes locked on Titan, his growl a low rumble as he stood guard, unyielding, scarred but unbroken. An officer radioed, voice sharp. "Female 22, assault, possible abduction attempt. Suspect vehicle fled. Black van. Get her to the station." The medic nodded, guiding her to an ambulance, but Titan's bark ripped free, sharp, insistent, his amber eyes blazing as he leapt beside her, refusing to part. The station loomed, a squat building buzzing with light, Officers darting as Sophia sank into a chair, Titan pressed to her side, his bulk a shield against the chaos. A grizzled captain strode in. Captain Rojas, his face etched with years, his voice rough but kind. "Sophia Morales? Tell me everything," he said, kneeling to her level, his eyes flicking to Titan. She recounted the attack, voice trembling, hands shaking, her shoulder bandaged, Titan's growl a steady hum. "He's a war dog," she said, tears prickling. "Saved me, always does." Rojas's gaze hardened, his hand pausing mid-note. "War dog? German shepherd? Combat trained?" He leaned closer, peering at Titan's scars, a jagged line across his flank, a soldier's mark. "Luis Vargas's partner, elite unit, ambush in 19. Vargas didn't make it. Titan did, barely, shelved till you took him." Sophia's breath caught, her dark eyes wide as she stroked Titan's head. Her shield, her hero, a warrior who'd found her. "He's mine now," she whispered, voice firm despite the quake. The station's hum faltered. Glass shattering, gunfire erupting as bullets tore through the walls, screams piercing the air. "Down!" Rojas roared, shoving Sophia behind a desk. Titan's growl exploding, his bulk shielding her as plaster rained. "Retaliation! Traffickers!" an officer yelled, radios crackling. "Shots fired! Station under attack!" Rojas drew his Glock, his voice sharp. "Run! Back door! Now!" Sophia's heart pounded, her hands trembling as she grabbed Titan, his amber eyes blazing. A warrior reborn in the chaos. They bolted, an alley's dark maw swallowing them. Titan's barks a beacon as boots pounded behind. The black van screeching close, a trap snapping shut in the night. The alley swallowed Sophia Morales and Titan in a shroud of shadow. The cold Valparaiso night clawing at their heels as gunfire echoed from the shattered police station behind them. Sophia's breath rasped, her dark hair whipping wild as she clutched Titan's fur, his massive German shepherd frame, a shield against the chaos. Amber eyes blazing, hackles up, a growl tearing from his throat like a war drum. Captain Rojas's shout, "Run!" still rang in her ears, her sneakers pounding the cracked pavement, the graze on her shoulders searing with each jolt. The black van's screech cut the dark, a predator closing fast, its headlights slashing the alley's gloom. "Move!" Sophia gasped, her voice a ragged thread as she stumbled. Titan's bark sharp, a beacon slicing through the panic. The alley twisted, its walls a jagged cage of brick and rust. The van's roar growing louder, tires squealing as it barreled closer, a trap snapping shut. She glanced back. 3 silhouettes leapt from the vehicle, boots thudding, their shouts a jagged chorus. "Get her! Now!" Her heart hammered, her hands shaking as she gripped Titan tighter. Her war veteran, her shield. His growl a thunderclap as he spun, teeth bared, ready to strike. A glint flashed, metal in the lead man's hand, a shotgun swinging up, its barrel glinting cold under a flickering street lamp. "End it!" he snarled, aiming fast. But Titan lunged, a blur of muscle and instinct, his jaws clamping the man's wrist, bones snapping as the gun clattered to the ground, blood spraying the alley's filth. "Bastard!" the thug roared, flailing, but Titan shook his grip. Battlefield precision, a warrior reborn, toppling him hard, his howl lost to the wind. Sophia's scream tore free. "Titan!" Her sneakers skidding as the second man charged, a knife flashing in his fist. "You're done, bitch!" he spat, slashing wild. But Titan dodged, his paws slamming the man's chest, a brutal takedown that sent the blade spinning into shadow. The third man cursed, lunging for Sophia, his grimy hand snatching her arm. But Titan wheeled, a growl ripping loose as he sank teeth into the man's leg, dragging him down with a sickening crunch. "Get off!" he shrieked, blood pooling as Titan held, a shield unyielding, a storm of fur and fury. The van's engine roared, headlights blinding as it surged forward, a wall of steel aimed to crush. "No!" Sophia yelled, her hands fumbling in the filth, grabbing a fallen gun, its weight cold and alien, her fingers trembling as she raised it. "Stay back!" she screamed, voice cracking. But the driver laughed, a guttural sneer, his shotgun swinging up through the window, barrel glinting as he fired. The blast ripped the air. Titan's growl cut short, his massive frame crumpling, blood blooming dark on his flank. "Titan!" Sophia's scream shattered the night, her knees hitting the ground as she dropped the gun, crawling to him. Her hands shaking, blood streaking her fingers as she pressed his wound. His amber eyes flickered, a faint whine breaking free, a warrior fading, her shield slipping. "No! No! Stay with me!" she sobbed, tears streaming as the van's tires screeched, brakes locking, headlights swaying. But sirens blared close, red and blue piercing the dark, a flood of boots pounding the alley. "Freeze!" Rojas roared. Glock raised as police swarmed. The driver cursing, his shotgun clattering as officers yanked him from the van, cuffs snapping tight. "Down, now!" Another barked, pinning the bleeding thugs, their shouts lost to the chaos. Medics rushed in, hands steady, voices sharp. "Gunshot, K9, move!" Lifting Titan onto a stretcher, his blood pooling as Sophia clung to him, her sobs raw. "Don't leave me," she begged, her dark hair matted with tears, her hands trembling against his fur. A bond forged in fire, now teetering on the edge. The ambulance screamed through the night, its siren a wail as Titan lay strapped, medics darting, defibrillators humming to jolt life back into his fading frame. "Pulse weak, shock him," one shouted, paddles flashing, his massive body jerking, a faint whine breaking free as Sophia gripped his paw, her voice a desperate thread. "You're my hero. Stay." The vet hospital loomed, doors slamming, stretcher rolling, Dr. Elena Vega meeting them, her steady hands glinting with tools. "GSW, flank critical," she barked, whisking him to surgery as Sophia sank to the floor, her hands shaking, blood on her fingers, trust in her eyes. The waiting room stretched, a sterile purgatory, Sophia's sneakers, scuffing tile, her shoulder bandaged, her headphones lost to the night's wreckage. Rojas sank beside her, his grizzled face tight, badge glinting. "He's a soldier, fought like one," he said, voice rough. "Those bastards, traffickers, tied to a ring we've chased. You kicked it open." Sophia's breath hitched, tears prickling as she hugged her knees. "He saved me, always does," she whispered, her dark eyes glinting, a bond tethered to a warrior's roar, now a whisper on the edge. Hours bled, the vet's doors shut, machines beeping a fragile thread as Sophia paced, her hands trembling, Rojas's radio crackling. Suspects detained, van traced, bigger net closing. Her gut twisted, traffickers a ring, Titan's blood on their hands. But his amber eyes burned in her mind, a shield she couldn't lose. "He's mine," she murmured, voice breaking, tears streaking her face. A trust forged in chaos, now a prayer stitched in silence. The doors swung open, Elena stepping out, scrubs streaked, face etched with relief. "He's through, bullet out, flank patched. Tough as hell, waking soon," she said, voice steady. Sophia's sob broke, relief, fierce and raw, her sneakers pounding as she rushed to him, Titan's amber eyes fluttering, his bandaged bulk stirring. "Good boy," she whispered, tears spilling as she knelt, her hands steady on his fur. A bond unbroken by steel, a fight won through loyalty's fire. The vet hospital's sterile glow bathed the recovery room as Titan stirred on a padded table, his massive German Shepherd frame swathed in bandages, the faint hum of monitors threading life back into his blood-streaked fur. His amber eyes flickered open, dim with pain but sharp with resolve, a low growl rumbling as he shifted, his flank patched, his spirit unbowed. Sophia Morales knelt beside him, her dark hair matted with tears, her bandaged shoulder aching as she gripped his paw, her voice a trembling whisper. "You're still here, good boy," she choked, tears streaking her face, a bond forged in chaos, now a lifeline in the quiet. Dr. Elena Vega stood close, her steady hands adjusting a drip, her voice calm but firm. "He's a fighter. Bullet missed the vitals, flanks holding. Rest now, he'll walk again." Sophia's breath hitched, her dark eyes glinting with relief as she stroked Titan's head, his ears twitching at her touch. A warrior's trust unbroken by steel. "He saved me," she murmured, her voice raw, tears pooling as Elena's gaze softened, a rare grin tugging her lips. He's no ordinary dog. Kept you both alive. The ward buzzed, medics darting, machines beeping, as Captain Rojas strode in, his grizzled face tight, badge glinting under the harsh lights. "Sophia, how's he holding?" he asked, his voice rough with concern, eyes flicking to Titan. "Tough as hell, gonna make it," she rasped, her hands steady on Titan's fur, his growl a steady hum beneath her touch. Rojas's jaw clenched, his radio crackling. "Suspects talking. Traffickers linked to a bigger ring. They're not done." Her gut twisted. Those men, their van, Titan's blood, a shadow that wouldn't fade. "He's a hero," Rojas said, kneeling to Titan's level, his badge catching the light. "Took down 3, gave us a lead. We've got names, routes, cracking it wide." Sophia's breath steadied, her dark eyes narrowing, anger flaring beneath her tears. "They came for me. Why?" Rojas's gaze hardened, his voice low. "You're a witness now. Saw their faces, their van. Luis Vargas's dog just made you a target." Titan's ears flicked, a growl rumbling, his soldier's instinct sensing the storm. The hospital stretched, a fragile calm as Titan rested, Sophia's hand never leaving his fur. Rojas pacing with updates. "Raids live. 2 warehouses hit. They're circling." Her shoulder throbbed, her heart pounding. Traffickers, a ring. Titan's scars a map to their vendetta. But his amber eyes held her, a shield she'd fight for. "You're mine," she whispered, voice breaking, a trust tethered to a warrior's roar, now a whisper in the ward. Dusk fell, the hospital quiet, Titan's growl softening as he slept. Sophia's dark eyes glinting with a fire born from fear. Footsteps echoed, Rojas bursting in, his badge glinting, voice sharp. "They're coming! Spotted a van, same plates. Get him out, now!" Her pulse spiked, her hands trembling as she rose, medics darting, stretcher rolling, Elena's steady hands snapping orders. "Move him! Soft lift!" Titan's growl rumbled, his amber eyes blazing, as Sophia gripped his collar, her shield stirring, ready to fight. The back door loomed, a shadowed exit, Rojas leading as medics wheeled Titan, Sophia's sneakers pounding tile, her breath ragged, her shoulders searing. "Go!" he barked, Glock drawn, radio crackling. "Perimeter breached! Shots fired!" The alley stretched dark, wind howling, cliffs looming, as the van screeched close, headlights slashing the gloom, a trap snapping shut. "Get down!" Rojas roared, shoving Sophia behind a dumpster, Titan's stretcher jolting, his growl erupting, a warrior's call piercing the night. Boots hit pavement, 3 men leaping from the van, guns glinting, their shouts a jagged chorus. "Finish her! Now!" The leader's shotgun swung up, barrel cold aimed at Sophia, but Titan surged, bandages tearing as he leapt, his massive frame slamming the man's chest, a brutal takedown that sent the gun skittering. "Bastard!" the thug roared, blood spraying as Titan's teeth sank deep, bone crunching, a soldier reborn in the alley's dark. Sophia's scream broke. "Titan!" Her hands fumbling for Rojas's dropped Glock, fingers trembling as she raised it, gunfire cracking, bullets pinging brick as the second man charged. "Die, bitch!" he snarled, pistol flashing, but Rojas lunged, his Glock roaring, the man crumpling, blood pooling. The third swung, a knife slashing wild, but Titan wheeled, his growl a thunderclap as he toppled him, teeth tearing flesh. A shield unyielding, a storm of fur and fury. The van's engine roared, headlights blinding as it surged, a wall of steel aimed to crush. "Move!" Sophia yelled, her voice cracking as she fired, glass shattering, the driver slumping, tires screeching as it veered, crashing into brick. Sirens blared close, red and blue piercing the dark, boots pounding as police swarmed. Rojas barking, "Secure them! Now!" Cuffs snapping, shouts fading as medics rushed Titan, his blood pooling anew. Sophia dropping the gun, her hands trembling as she knelt beside him. "Titan!" she sobbed, tears streaming as she pressed his flank, his amber eyes flickering, a faint whine breaking free, her shield fading, her hero slipping. "Stay with me," she begged, her dark hair matted with blood, medics darting. "Pulse weak, lift him." Stretcher rolling as she clung to him, a bond tethered to a warrior's roar, now a whisper on the edge. The vet hospital loomed, doors slamming, stretcher racing, Elena's steady hands snapping. "GSW, flank again, or now." Titan's blood streaking tile as Sophia sank to her knees, her hands shaking. A trust forged in fire, now a prayer stitched in silence. The operating room at Valparaiso's vet hospital pulsed with frantic precision, its sterile glare slicing through the chaos as Dr. Elena Vega wielded her scalpel over Titan's massive frame, his black and tan coat streaked with fresh blood. Bandages torn, flank gaping from the shotgun's brutal kiss. Machines screeched a desperate rhythm, his pulse erratic, oxygen hissing as medics darted, their voices sharp against the hum. Pressure's crashing, 60 systolic. Elena's steady hands plunged deep, her voice a steel thread. "Clamp it, now." Titan's amber eyes fluttered shut, a faint growl fading, a warrior teetering on the edge, his fight for Sophia hanging by a thread. Sophia Morales slumped in the waiting room, her dark hair matted with sweat and blood, her bandaged shoulder throbbing as she gripped her knees. Tears streaking her face, her sneakers scuffing tile in a restless beat. "Stay with me," she whispered, her voice a broken plea, replaying Titan's lunge. The blast, his collapse, her scream. His shield shattered in the alley's dark. Captain Rojas paced beside her, his grizzled face tight, badge glinting as his radio crackled. Suspects secured, leaders talking, bigger fish moving. Her gut twisted. Traffickers, Titan's blood, a war spilling from his past into hers. "He's a soldier," Rojas rasped, sinking to her level, his eyes flicking to the OR doors. "Fought like hell, gave us a shot at them." Sophia's breath hitched, her dark eyes blazing, fear clashing with fury. "They won't stop. Why me?" Rojas's jaw clenched, his voice low. "You saw their faces. Vargas's dog made you a loose end. They're circling. Raids live, but they're fast." Titan's growl echoed in her mind, a warrior's roar, her shield, and she nodded, tears burning. "He's mine, always." The OR stretched, a battlefield of steel and blood. Elena's hands a blur as she stitched Titan's flank, sealing the gash with battlefield grit. "Bullets out! Shrapnel's clear!" she barked, sweat streaking her mask, her voice sharp. "He's fading! Shock him!" Paddles flashed, his massive frame jolted, a faint bark breaking free as his pulse spiked, a thread of life clawing back. "Hold him!" a medic yelled, saline pumping fast, 5 hours ticking relentless, each second a gamble with a warrior's heart. Outside, the waiting room buzzed, officers darting, radios crackling as Rojas gripped his Glock, eyes darting to the doors. "Perimeter tight, 3 units down, they're hitting back." Sophia's hands trembled, her dark eyes glinting. Traffickers, a ring. Titans' scars a map to their vengeance. But his amber stare burned in her skull, a shield she'd die for. "He's fighting," she murmured, voice steadying. Anger forging steel beneath her tears, a bond tethered to a warrior's roar. Footsteps echoed, 2 men bursting in, suits crisp, guns glinting under jackets. "Morales?" one snarled, hand flashing to his holster, but Rojas spun, Glock raised, voice a thunderclap. "Down! Now!" Shots cracked, the first man crumpling, blood spraying as the second lunged, knife slashing wild. Sophia screamed, diving for a chair, her hands shaking as she swung, cracking his skull, his blade skittering as Rojas pinned him, cuffs snapping tight. "Move and you're done," he roared, radio blaring. "Code blue, station hit again." The suits bled, a message scrawled in crimson. "Loose ends burn." Rojas's gut clenched, his badge glinting as he dragged them out. Traffickers circling, Titan's blood their spark. But Sophia's hands steadied, her dark eyes blazing. "They won't win," she rasped, tears drying, her shield's fight fueling hers. a bond unbroken by steel or storm. The OR doors swung open, Elena stepping out, scrubs streaked, face etched with triumph. He's through, flank patched, pulse holding. Tough bastard, waking soon, she said, voice raw. Sophia's sob broke, relief, fierce and primal, her sneakers pounding as she rushed to him, Titan's amber eyes fluttering, his bandaged bulk stirring. Good boy, she whispered, tears spilling as she knelt, her hands steady on his fur, a bond forged in fire, now a flame rekindled. Recovery stretched, the ward a fortress as Titan rested. Sophia's hand never leaving his side, Rojas pacing with updates. Raid's a hit, 6 down, ring cracking. They're running. Her shoulder ached, her heart steadying, traffickers faltering, Titan's scars a map to their downfall. But his amber eyes held her, a shield she'd fight beside. You're mine, she murmured, voice firm, a trust tethered to a warrior's roar, now a whisper of victory. The hospital hummed, medics darting, officers guarding, as Rojas sank beside her, his badge glinting. He's a hero, broke their spine. We're closing in. Your call-out's next, he said, voice rough. Sophia's grin cracked, her dark eyes glinting, anger softening to pride. He's my soldier, always will be, she whispered, tears drying, a bond forged in chaos, now a light piercing the dark. The sterile hum of Valparaiso's vet hospital softened as dawn crept through the windows, casting a golden glow over Titan's bandaged frame, his massive German shepherd bulk stirring on the recovery table. His amber eyes glinted sharp beneath the haze of sedation, a low growl rumbling as he shifted. Flank patched, ribs bruised, but his spirit roared unbowed. Sophia Morales knelt beside him, her dark hair falling loose, her bandaged shoulder aching as she gripped his paw, her voice a steady whisper. You're my hero, Titan, she said, tears drying on her face. A bond forged in fire, now a fortress in the quiet dawn. Dr. Elena Vega adjusted a drip, her steady hands lingering over Titan's chart, her voice calm but warm. He's tough, flanks holding, vitals strong. He'll walk soon. Give him time. Sophia's breast steadied, her dark eyes shimmering with pride as she stroked Titan's head, his ears flicking at her touch. A warrior's trust unbroken by steel or blood. He saved me, again, she murmured, her voice firm, Elena's grin faint but fierce. He's a soldier, kept you both alive. The ward buzzed, medics darting, machines beeping, as Captain Rojas strode in, his grizzled face alight, badge glinting under the morning sun. Sophia, raid's a wrap, he said, voice rough with triumph, sinking beside her. 10 down, rings gutted, your call-out broke their spine. Her pulse surged, her dark eyes narrowing, traffickers crumbling, Titan's blood their spark, a shadow snuffed by a warrior's roar. They're done? She asked, voice steadying, tears replaced by steel. Rojas nodded, his badge catching the light. Big fish landed. Your soldier's a legend now. Titan's growl rumbled, his amber eyes glinting as he lifted his head. Bandages stark, but his spirit a fire unquenched. He's mine, Sophia said, her hand steady on his fur. His trust a steady hum beneath her touch, a bond forged in chaos, now a victory etched in scars. Rojas's gaze softened, his voice low. Vargas'd be proud. His dog's a hero. You gave him purpose. She grinned, faint but fierce. Her shield, her soldier, a warrior who'd found her in the dark. Recovery stretched. The ward a sanctuary as Titan mended, Sophia's hand never leaving his side. Rojas pacing with updates. Last cell hit. Traffickers running dry. Streets safer now. Her shoulder healed, her heart surging. Danger fading, Titan's scars a map to their downfall. But his amber eyes held her, a shield she'd stand beside. You're my soldier, she murmured, voice breaking. A trust tethered to a warrior's roar, now a whisper of peace. The hospital doors swung open, discharge day-breaking crisp. Titan's massive frame steady as he rose. Bandages shed, his amber eyes glinting fierce. He's yours, Elena said, her steady hands passing his leash, her grin wide. Tough bastard, keep him close. Sophia's sneakers scuffed tile, her dark eyes shimmering as she knelt, hugging Titan tight, his growl softening to a huff, his tail wagging slow, a bond unbroken by fire or steel. The station loomed, a fortress humming with light, officers darting as Rojas met them, his badge glinting, voice rough with pride. Sophia, Titan's a hero, rings down, part of it at least. Streets breathing easier, he said, kneeling to Titan's level, his hand hovering near the shepherd's scars. You kicked it wide, saved more than yourself. Her grin cracked, her dark eyes glinting, pride flaring beneath her scars. He's my shield, always will be, she said, tears drying. A bond forged in chaos, now a light piercing the dark. Days stretched, Sophia's apartment a haven as Titan roamed, his massive frame steady on the hardwood, his amber eyes glinting with a peace forged from war. You're home, she murmured one dusk, her voice thick as he sprawled by her bed. Bandages gone, his flank a map of scars. A warrior resting, his soldiers past, a whisper in his steady huff. Good boy, she said, her hand steady on his head, her shield, her savior, a bond that rewrote their story. The city buzzed, their tale rippling through streets, whispers traded over coffee. Girl and her war dog took down traffickers. Rojas called, voice crackling through the phone. Medals offered, declined 'em, said he just needs you. He chuckled, badge glinting in memory. Sophia's grin widened, her dark hair falling loose as she ruffled Titan's ears, his tail wagging, his growl a soft hum. A bond tethered to a soldier's roar, now a legacy of love. Years unfolded, Sophia's steps slowing, her dark hair graying, Titan's muzzle whitening, his amber eyes dimming but fierce. At 28, she sat by the window, her shoulder a faint scar. Titan sprawled close, a bond forged in fire, now a quiet flame. You're my soldier, she'd murmur, her voice thick as he nuzzled her hand, his massive frame bending with age, his bark fading to a huff, a trust unbroken by time or steel. Winter came, the city hushed, Titan's breath growing short, his massive frame still as he curled beside her bed. Amber eyes closing in peace. Sophia wept, her steady hands bearing him beneath the pines, his scars a memory, his strength a whisper in the wind. Good boy, she rasped, tears streaking her weathered face, a bond forged in chaos, now etched in her soul. Years stretched, Sophia aging, her steps faltering, the apartment quiet but alive with his memory. His barks a whisper in the walls. At 35, she stood by his grave, her hair silver, her dark eyes glinting, a plaque gleaming, Titan, valor's shield. The city whispered their tale, streets safer, a ring broken, a legacy of a soldier and his girl, a bond that proved loyalty could shatter the dark, a light that burned beyond the wild.